this guy right here always was somebody that I liked. He was somebody I think that we need. When I say need, kind of for the long term. And this position that we're trying to fill is something that I don't feel like we need to patch up. Okay, we've been kind of using a little bit of tape and patching this position up for quite some time. We actually had on the other side of it had gotten somebody here for the long term, which is great. All right, which is beautiful. But we need somebody to complement that on the other side. And so with my first round, pick number 32, I decided to go on the defensive side of the ball. Okay, defensive side of the ball.
Ooh.
And I'm going with Brandon Fiske from Florida State, defensive tackle. That's what I like. Okay, that's what I like. So I'll go into some more reasoning.
Please.
What I do like about Brandon is he has a high motor. Everything I see on tape, he comes off the football. I mean, he destroys guys. And when I'm talking about that high motor, don't quit, just constantly coming after a guy, this is who he is. You could tell he loves playing football, how everybody just rallies around him. And so the type of energy he brings, his get off, his hand placement, he's nasty with it. He does a really good job of just getting past guards, centers, kind of with ease at times. And the guy keeps showing up. So when I was talking about a compliment on the other side, I was talking about Chris Jones. Chris Jones, we know he's going to be here. He's going to end the Chief. Okay. We've been kind of patchworking guys beside him from this time. That's what we've been doing for the past few years. I think this is matter of fact, it's more important to have a guy that compliments Chris Jones, maybe because of the JariusSneed is gone, right? So now you got to really get after the guy, okay? Not to only mention pass rush, but also to run stopper. He does a great job, chucking and shedding guys to get off the ball and taking double teams. He does a tremendous job. That's what I like about him. Brandon Fiske, man, to me is he's a monster on the inside. He's a guy that he reminds me kind of like when I was talking about George Karlaftis, in the draft. I wanted him first round. We got him, right? So we needed a high motor guy that's going to give it his all. Somebody you just can't make quit. And he reminds me a lot of that. And so him being right beside Chris Jones is just going to make our defense that much better. And like I said, with the void of JariusSneed, let's just say if people are worried about our corners not being able to cover whatnot, then we got another guy to get after the quarterback right here in the running back when they get the football.
Yeah,
Ready, Fiske, ladies and gentlemen.
Big fan, JD. I've liked him throughout the process. In a lot of he's someone who's gone up a lot in boards from his consensus people. I took him a lot early on when he was available in the second round, but now when you do simulations, he's gone after like the first, I think 7 of the second round. So but you never know. The one thing with him is he's pretty old for a prospect. He's 24. So he might, just because of that alone, because these teams are obsessed with just like molding like 20-year-olds. So he might slip and he might be there in the second. That'd be ridiculous, but yeah, he's a beast, dude. I'd be a huge fan. I went the opposite side of the ball with this one. I was stuck between two guys, and it usually came down to whoever was available between the two. But I got more attached to the position of need at left tackle. So when both were available the last time I did it, between you want to do the music so I don't want to give it away. So it was tough between Tyler Guyton and Kingsley Somatea. I went Tyler Guyton. I think I started comparing him to previous Chief left tackles of the recent past, OBJ, Donovan Smith, and he just fit more of what those guys were, just gigantic beasts. He's 6'7", 327. I think he's got a 37 plus reach to him. So he fits more of just the really tall, big left tackles that we've had recently. Kingsley's had good reviews too. And I picked him a lot in the first round in my drafts, but between the two, I went with just the slightly higher ceiling because of his build. They say he's athletic. They say he could play tight end. He's so athletic. Just quick feet. Still raw. Potential's limitless, they say. Ridiculous athleticism. Fires off the ball. Has good power. Has good a punch. Some downsides for him. Inconsistent technique. Go figure he has flaws, or else he'd be a top 5 pick at 6'7", 330. Inconsistent power placement, they say, doesn't know where to put his hands when he hits people, and then inconsistent technique. But with our coaching staff, I don't worry about stuff like that. Everything else that he brings with our coaching, I think he could be our top flight left tackle for the next 5 years on the cheap. And with some of the guys coming up in contracts, we need a little of youth and infusion into the O-line again with cheap contracts.
He's a pretty interesting prospect because he went to TCU. He was like an H-back and tackle. That's what he was at TCU before he transferred to Oklahoma. And pretty much in Oklahoma, he's pretty much been right tackle. So that would be my only hesitation as far as drafting a guy who's playing right tackle to move him to left tackle upon getting drafted. But his athleticism, they say, is why they could see him being a left tackle. But JD, what are your hesitations with that?
So same thing. I mean, he plays, right tackle more than he does left. So it will be a transition to move over to the left and become capable. And also, we got Wanye Morris here. Just kind of watching, Wanye played the left. I love that he's huge. A lot of huge, big guys. But that was the thing, being right tackle. It's always making that transition to left. That's the tough thing. I mean, to be honest with you, when you come to the NFL, it's really like a different position, to be honest with you. Because your body is so fit to doing something, to the right side all the time as far as tackles and guards. Guards are a lot easier because you can kind of square your feet up a little bit more. Tackles are you're definitely toe to heel, stagger. I like his size, I do. And also too, like I was reading some of this report, like they were just talking, like you were talking about his hand blocks. He's more of a pusher as opposed to burling guys down.
Which sounds more finessey, left tackle-ish, actually.
But see, the thing with that transition would be, that's my thing. I know how hard it is to make that transition from right to left. Not saying he couldn't do it. It'd probably take him a good year to make that transition, to do that. Now, he could be a guy that, dare I say, in the future, if you wanted to use him at right tackle and move Jawan Taylor, you know what I'm saying? If you wanted to do something with him, maybe a little bit later, right? Or if you weren't happy with his performance, let me put it that way. He's getting paid too much money, right? Teams are like, hey, man, look, let's bring this guy in to challenge, Jawan Taylor. And so you could use a guy like that, right? And so, like you're saying, Teja, in that transition, let's just say Jawan's beating him out handily. Well, now you're getting ready for the left, right? You put him both ways. Go ahead and let's see your athletic ability. Can you do both? And we're going to make sure that we're going to give you every look that we possibly can, to challenge you on that. So
with him and Kingsley too, the final, you get your pros, you get your cons, and you get your final write-up about him, but from a lot of scouts, and they always finish the same way. It was, would love to see him get a redshirt year, would love to see him get some development with a coaching staff and not put too much on him to be your franchise guy, which I'm cool with him. There's a reason why they lasted 32. If he was a, finished product left tackle at that size, he'd be, a top 10, 12 pick. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
I mean, you are getting that. So this pick is definitely, potential is highly involved there. He's not a plug and play. So even if you did this, you probably would want to re-sign a Donovan Smith to a 1 more year deal, right? And then get him ready next year. No questions asked. he's your guy, left tackle. Or even if midseason and Donovan misses like week 8 or week 9, you bring him in there at that point. Maybe he's progressed enough to like take it on, and maybe you never look back at that point. So yeah, with this in mind, with either one of those guys, I would still probably rather sign a, and it sucks to say that too. Like, oh, you're drafting a guy first round and you're still signing a guy to be the starter there. Left tackle, man. Left tackle's no joke. Hey, so like, expecting a guy, unless even teams drafting the guy like 10th overall, like, are you just signed away being like, okay, our quarterback's never getting touched? Like, dude, that's still a huge come on in that league. But what's so weird about it here, I totally agree. It's tough to make the right. But if you look at some of the highest graded players or ranked players for like guard, for instance, some of the highest ranked guards in this draft, like top 8 guards, they played tackle in college. They didn't even play guard.
No, right.
Just like everyone's a consensus that he's going to play guard in the league. It's like, okay. But he never played it once. He played tackle his whole career. So, it's just interesting to see that. Like O-line, I think more than like most positions, it's like it's somewhere on there. You have the ability. You're going to play somewhere, right? We just got to find the spot for you. So, and he's one of those guys, in my opinion, that if the way our scouting and our coaching is, if they got the stamps from every level of the Chiefs to be like, he could be our left tackle, then I would be happy as hell. Be like, all right, either one of those guys, really. Like, if they're getting Hex seal of approval and he reads and they're like, this is the guy, then I'm like, dude, I'm in.
Yeah. So I'll when we go later on, I'm gonna kind of give you my thought because I like where you're going with it, and you'll see kind of where I'll go a little bit later, and you'll
okay,
because I like the thought of it.
So I went the route of I'm looking ahead. I'm looking to next year and beyond. If you look at our O-line, Joe Thuney's got 2 more years on his deal. They are very, very high cap numbers. Trey Smith's contract ends after this upcoming season. And I know I've seen rumblings that if there's an odd man out between Bolton, Smith, or Creed, it'll probably be Smith. Not sure how true those are, but I can see why they would say that.
Yeah.
So I went guard with this next pick. And I went Zak Zinter out of Michigan. So he broke his tibia and fibula against Ohio State in November. He hasn't been able to do any of the draft process at all. But he was considered Wolverine's best O-lineman this season. If he didn't get hurt, we're probably looking at maybe high 2nd round pick. He'd be one of the best guards in the draft. I mean, you're already knocking on that door anyway. I just see this as another way to get a badass guard we have no business being able to draft at the point we're able to draft him, like Trey Smith. Not as late as Trey Smith, but a similar thing here where we got a guy because he was hurt and wasn't able to really go through this process with anyone. Be an absolute steal. He can pass block, great power run blocker, big 6'5", mean, tough. The knocks are a little bit stiff, not great athleticism for a guard, but good enough in the short game to pull out and run and smash somebody. Can be overpowered a bit by bigger 2-gappers. But what I read was can be beaten by big 2-gappers, but never beaten soundly. So he doesn't go down without a fight. I think he's someone you don't have to rush back from injury. Let's say he's not ready to start training camp. You don't have to even rush back. We didn't retain Allegretti. I don't believe we've replaced him. So, by the first month or second month of the season, maybe the IR to start the year out. It comes back week 6 to week 8 and is our main backup guard, utility man from there on out. And then maybe you're looking at the replacement for Trey Smith for the next, 4 years, 3 years after that on a cheap deal. I just think with a lot of question marks for the O-line for the future, Taylor, we have to get out of his massive contract. Thuney's got a massive contract and he's entering his mid-30s. And I know I have us taking left tackle, but right now we don't have one. So that's another open position. and Creed's a free agent, and Trey Smith's going to be a free agent. So O-line is something that I could see us heavily investing in this draft.
JD, your thoughts on Zak Zinter? For the record here, Teja, I remember last year there was a similar guy in the draft, Andrew Voorhees from USC, a guard who got hurt, fell in the draft. I was hoping we were going to snipe him because he'd be great because he'd be year two, he'd probably be recovered by his injury by now, and you'd have him ready in the wings.
Yeah.
If anything happened to Tooney, anything happened to Trey Smith, or when Trey Smith goes in free agency, if we don't re-sign him, that'd have been a great guy. Very similar here, but obviously Zak Zinter is a little bit of a higher prospect than Voorhees as far as the injuries go and being ready for the season. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind this. JD, what are your thoughts on preparing for the future, as Teja put it?
I mean, it's a good thought. It's a good thought. I don't know too much about this guy, to be honest. But what you're saying, that sounds promising. If he got hurt, and like you said, if we could get him in the steal, my question to you, Tej, is that somebody that will probably be around the fourth round? Is he a fourth round guy, you think?
Yeah, my note that I put in there was hoping to get later, but someone's going to try to not wait too long. People don't want the Chiefs to grab that steal of a guard, steal of an O-lineman anymore. They want to be the one to get it before that. Everyone's looking at. I looked on Twitter too. I looked up Zinter. I just typed his name to see what people were saying about him. And everyone's like, we can't allow. We need. I actually read this. Like people said, I want this year's Trey Smith. We can't allow. The Chiefs had it right by getting a guy with injury concerns late in the draft. And we got Trey Smith late. So I'd love it. He was around the fourth. All my simulators throughout the process, he goes earlier and earlier every time I do it. So he's going, at least my simulators, I see him going anywhere from mid-late 2 to early 4. So if he's your guy you see being your starting right guard in 2025, then I don't see a problem taking him at 95.
Going to a team that already has 2 starting guards, you're also allowing him to possibly be a redshirt year for him to continue because he got hurt like late November. It was it was the Ohio State game. I think it was one of the last games in November.
Yeah,
he gets hurt that game, lower leg injury. Was it? What was the
fibula and tibia?
Fibula. Oh man, that's a rough one. So you allow him because not every team has the luxury of having 2 guards like the way we do.
Yeah,
and draft in the 3rd round. We can, most teams, a guy like this are going to be kind of like Voorhees last year, fell to the 7th round in that situation. Teams aren't going to waste a pick on a guy they're going to have to sit out for a year if that's what it is. So it's an intriguing idea as far as a guy like this because everything I've read, if he wasn't hurt, he would have been definitely a top 2 round guy. So I'm more a JD if he is if we're in the 4th round and he's there, I definitely jump on that.
Or even if, that 3rd round in Tennessee, I know no one loves that we got. That could very well be used to be like, hey, we love this guy. We did not expect him to still be there. You want our 3rd round for next year. Jump right into it and take him. I every time I do a simulator, I trade that freaking Tennessee pick to get back into the draft. Some of these positions that we need are just really deep this year. So he's someone I've moved back in to take in the early 4th if he's still there.
Okay.
Yeah. If he was still there in our 4th round pick, dude, he's someone he's someone who's like best available that's up there for way too long. And I'm screaming at the TV to go get him. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. That'll feel one of your headaches for sure, that you had to deal with, especially trying to replace, like you said, Trey Smith or, Joe. It depends on, what contracts and what everybody's looking for. What you think, guys? Joe Tooney is one of the best guards in the league. We know that. And versatile too. So,
what I love about Zinter is NFL ready, starting NFL guard for the next 10 years. Those things to me, 3rd round for half a redshirt season, I'm cool with that, man. You know what I mean? Like, and then you have him cheap for another 3 years after that. So.
And it becomes a full redshirt season because, I mean, unless Tooney and Trey Smith get hurt, he wouldn't play it down this year. So it would be more like preparing for that next year. Hey, like take this year to get it right fully. So when we have you next year, you're full go.
Well, Tooney did deal with something too. So you never know. I'm surprised we haven't been a little more aggressive at guard. It makes you think that we are going to prioritize a guard early in this draft. The fact that Smith's a free agent and Tooney tore his pec in February.
Yeah, but basically we know about the pec tear, JD. I mean, he should be ready to go. That shouldn't be something that's bothering him going into the season, right?
Yeah, he should. Yeah, he should go in the season. Yeah, ready to go. Yeah, shouldn't be no problem.
Sure, but we also lost our main backup for the last 3 seasons. Ali Grady's been our mainstay at like plug and play guard, and we don't even have that either. So like we also
let's go to our next guy. Okay, we'll see what we think. All right. So Teja, all the things you're thinking about, right? And I like your thought process with the tackle from Oklahoma. My thing is, can you get a guy that has that ability, okay, to play right tackle and transitioning because he is a versatile guy. He's athletic. You making this point about Trey Smith maybe not being there. This guy plays guard and tackle. He's played more tackle than he's played guard in the last couple of years. Okay.
I bet you I know you're going.
Do you? Okay. All right. So I was watching him kind of at the Senior Bowl, some of the snaps he was taking and what they were talking about. When I just started watching film on him, I'm like, this dude he's athletic. I love how he moves. He's a solid guy, pretty strong, and he's young. He looks like a guy that can grow because he's such a young guy, and he's just going to get better. Like you were talking about before, the type of coaches that we have can get a guy like this ready, no doubt about it. And so for me, my 4th round pick is Sataoa Laumea from Utah. That's all I get. Yes. And all the things they were talking about him down at the Senior Bowl, what the coaches liked about him. They like his athletic ability. They like his size, 6'4", 319. And he's versatile to play inside and out. So think about him, inside and out. He's got a score, 77 on athletic score for O-line is incredible. 75 total score on it. 26 on the bench press, so he's strong, plenty strong. Good hips. It's a good. I think they talked about like one of the weaknesses. Just reading it here, it's like he gets beat because he oversets a little bit. Part of that could just be because you have such quick feet. You could just move so much outside that you think like, hey man, look, you're athletic enough that you don't have to give up so much on the inside. Like trust your athletic ability that you can still sustain from the outside. And so a coach would teach him that, right? If you're getting beat on the inside, it just means that you're oversetting, right? And that's the problem. Don't overset. You don't have to overset. Why, coach? Because you're athletic enough that you can keep a guy on the outside. Like for you, a tackle, keep him on the outside. Like don't give up to the inside. You don't want to give up to the inside. Even though you might have help, don't give up to the inside. And so, like they said, he's versatile enough that he can come and start and play guard, right guard. He's a right-sided guy, okay? And so that goes into like the whole thing of if you're thinking about a Jawan Taylor, what you want to do with him. Is he somebody of the future that you use? Instead of picking somebody like that in the first round, you didn't get the guy like my first 5 tackles. If you're not getting those guys in the first round, the top ones, it's kind of, gets a little iffy for me as far as tackle wise, right? It's like, okay, then it's got to be a project that you want to do. Okay. And, when we get to next week and we start talking about it, probably one of my first pick might be tackle. But this guy you get in the 4th round, okay? And filling every hole that you're talking about filling, right? Right tackle, right guard. Is he athletic enough to go to the left? Is there something he can do, right? The redshirt year, you don't use him, but you got to start in right tackle. You got to start in right guard. This guy can do both of those. You already know he can do that. Do you move over to the left and see what he can do over to the left, right? And even if you do sign, let's just say, Donovan Smith back, You know what I mean? Like you were saying before, do you just sign the Donovan Smith back? Let this guy learn, see if he can do it. And if he can't, well, shoot, he's good over to the right anyway. So that's why I picked him.
Yeah, his player comp, I was looking at, it was Tyler Steen, who the Eagles ended up drafting, the guy from Alabama last year, which I was actually, he was a second-round pick, or he was supposed to go in the second round last year. Then he ended up falling a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, he could do it all. I mean, 4-year starter at Utah. Utah's been a pretty relevant program. And those guys there, big boys over there at Utah. So, I like that. Teja, thoughts? I know you drafted. You've been in the trenches a little bit in this draft, so
big fan. I've taken him whenever I didn't get Zinter where I wanted to get him, but I want to overcommit and get him too early. I've taken him, Isaiah Adams out of Illinois, who also played right tackle. That's what I thought you were going to go with.
Yeah, I like
right tackle, but they project him at a guard in the NFL. Yeah. Another guy, Bo Lemer, who played center and guard, who gives us that versatility as well. But yeah, big fan. Yeah, they a lot of people comp him to be. I've seen the Tyler Steen one, but starting guard in the NFL, starting guard. So I'd love that if we went a different route in round 3. Someone we like, maybe a linebacker in round 3. I wouldn't mind at all going him in the 4th. I just think, again, like what I was saying earlier, I'm more stuck on position than I am at the player behind it, right? So I know whether they go Zinter or Adams or Laumea. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's where their mind. You can tell that's where their mind's at. They know Trey Smith might be gone. This is our guy, because even if it's not a red shirt because of injury for Laumea, they're not looking at him starting right away. They want him to get, his legs under him, get the NFL, get used to it, correct some of those problems. And then if we have an injury week 6 or 7, he can fill in for a game and look all right, especially with the O-line we have around him. You know what I mean? Like, we have guys around. If we lose one of our guys right now, we have enough guys in that O-line so you can follow suit and not look terrible, right?
That's right.
I'm a big fan. I wouldn't mind it at all.
And it definitely fits our mold of having a guy who can play tackle and guard. I mean, Andy loves those guys who are like utility linemen who can play anywhere you put them. So
versatility is just huge, man. We need that. Whenever I've taken like a D tackle, I want a guy who can maybe fill in at D end sometimes. Your boy Fiske he's skilled enough to be able to play some D end on packages for sure. That's why I like him a lot. Robinson from Missouri can play DN and some D tackle. So there are some guys, dude from Clemson, I'm forgetting his name, DN and D tackle. He can play both. So a lot of guys are skilled enough to do that. Linemen too. That's why I like Lemer out of, I think, Arkansas. Can play multiple positions, can play center and guard. You never know. What if we can't get a deal done with Creed? What if he just wants an insane amount of money? We're just like, look, man, you're not the first person we putting a hard line on. We're taking a hard line stance on Tyreek Hill. Once you go that far, you can take a hard line stance to anybody. So anyone thinks that we're guaranteed to re-sign Creed Humphrey, you're mistaken. And I have the number 10 as proof of that. Okay, if we could replace Tyreek Hill and win some rings after it, we don't think anyone on our team is irreplaceable. Okay, so
no one.
It doesn't matter who it is, and especially a center. We could be like, all right, we found Creed, we'll find someone else. But yeah, I agree. Versatility is huge for me.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.